Alright, so tell me if you guys have heard this one. I grew up with a family that was a fan of cliches, and one I used to hear a lot was, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it eat your pussy. Anyone got a grandmother that used to say that in church? Yeah. I was at an AA meeting very recently, and at this meeting they had a table of catered food where they were serving beer-battered wives and children. I've been looking for a new job. I think I'm going to be working for the city as an animal control specialist. They go out and they capture stray dogs and cats, which is great because I've always wanted to get paid to capture the animals that I eat. I'm actually on the paleo diet. It's a diet where I can only eat white lion meat. You guys ever take a shit so big it felt like the chest burster scene from Alien? They call him Winnie the Pooh, but I've never seen that bear eat a bucket of shit. I'm from Indiana. You guys know where that is? Thank you. It's right in the middle of all the other states that no one wants to go to. But in this state, we had a group of people that lived off the grid called the Amish, and I thought that those people were very interesting. And when I got to Los Angeles, I was excited because I saw you guys had Amish people of your own. And then a friend tapped me on the shoulder and said, no, those are just Hasidic Jews. And I don't think your Amish people got the memo. Have you guys ever heard of the Rule 34? It's a rule on the internet that states that for anything you can find on the internet, there's a pornographic version of it. But I can guarantee you that you've never seen 100% authentic Amish porn. There's no cameras or cell phones. All this is a very long way for me to go around to explain why you've never seen a picture of Bigfoot. Bigfoot is basically an Amish porn star. He's very shy. He's very shy. I actually am thinking about changing the name of my dick, calling it a specific name. Everyone has a name for their dick. I was thinking about calling it Syllabus. So when I pass out copies of it to students, they know what's coming on the test. Thank you. Thank you. I was a very fat kid growing up. I was a very large child growing up. And I was so big that when the doctor told me I had chicken pox, I asked him if it came with ranch or honey mustard. I've been thinking about developing a television show. I have an idea that I'd like to try out. It's a show that stars Wee Man from the television show Jackass. Do you remember that show? I was thinking about partnering him up with Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. And I'm going to call it Two Half Men. I actually would like to go to the Louvre in Paris. There's a painting there that you've heard of. It's very famous, called the Mona Lisa. I'd like to go and see it up close so that I can Leonardo all over her Da Vinci. Salvador Dali is another very famous artist that you might have heard of. He painted Melting Clocks, The Persistence of Time. And he had a quote. He said, "I don't do drugs. I am drugs." And I think because of that reason, why he painted those melting clocks is because he was always coming on his wristwatch. Last one. I was outside recently. I saw someone mopping the sidewalk outdoors. And I thought to myself, it's nice that in Los Angeles, semen is not acceptable anywhere. Has anyone else been caught jerking off outside of a church's chicken? Okay, that's mine. That's my set.
Spicy gravy! Spicy gravy! Hello, welcome to Sunday Morning Sessions. We are with Jason Nice today. Everyone, it's Jason Nice. Hello, Jason.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Great. Where are you from, Jason?
I am originally from the state of Indiana.
Ooh, what's town or city or township, community, neighborhood?
South Indianapolis.
South Indianapolis.
Southside Naptown.
The NASCAR.
Well, the Indy 500 is actually more like the F1 Formula cars. NASCAR, that's the Brickyard. It's okay. You're not from Indiana, so I guess.
The sports.
The sports, we have the Pacers, we have my favorite team, the Colts. And,
the Colts? Achoo.
Bless you.
Hey, Jason, when did you start comedy?
I started about 2 years ago, and I actually met you first 2 weeks that I started.
Really?
Yes, I believe that was the first or second week. Yeah.
Well, you know what? When you walk into my brothel, I take care of you, so I'll make sure you're good to go.
The tips are amazing. I've been tipped well.
What kind of tips are you talking about?
Your brothel tips.
What?
Brothel tips, obviously.
Cold. Achoo.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jason Nice, you are a fan of food, correct?
Well, I do enjoy food occasionally.
What are your top 2 favorite foods?
My top 2 favorite foods: Chinese food.
Chinese food.
I love Chinese food.
Ooh, woof.
I do have a joke about it. People.
That was the reference.
Yeah.
From your set. Unless it's the second set, then.
He gets nervous when I talk about the
foreshadowing.
Yeah. He gets nervous when I talk about the people eating dogs. So, actually, where I lived, right down the road, we had a Chinese food restaurant right next to a pet store.
Is that your second favorite food?
Yes, Uncle Bill's Pet Store. Usually show up there, grab a cat, maybe a lizard or hamster.
Uncle William.
Yeah, that's what I occasionally name the animals that I eat. Yeah, Uncle William. Sure.
What is your favorite small breed of dog?
Oh, pugs, obviously. Pugs are the greatest dog that were ever invented.
They're great dogs. I like their faces.
They have a lovely disposition. Very, very kind, very
Well, they
gentle
should have
creatures.
some fiber.
That's a tough one. Fiber in their diet.
And then you get to see them poop.
Yeah, if you do sit out there and watch them bark, you notice that their assholes move open and close when they're barking. So
does mine.
I went to college, by the way. I just want to say I have an education, so I have more intelligent conversation than pug assholes.
Pug assholes.
No idea where we're going.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So, Jason, what is your social media? Where can we find you, learn more about you, hear about you, discover you, maybe more?
You can find me on all social media as Weapon, and that's spelled W-E-A-P with an 8 and N.
So you're like Whippayton.
It's a little confusing.
Whippayton.
I make it intentionally tough to find me. Yeah, like Peyton.
Whippayton.
Peyton was the best weapon in the NFL until he retired.
Thank you for watching Sunday Morning Sessions. My name is Erik Escobar. This is Spicy Gravy. And you enjoy the rest of... Yes.
So I'm an artist as well. I draw, I paint, and I've had a lot of requests in the past for people for me to do people's portraits. And I had one girl approach me and ask me once. She said, "Could you draw me like one of your French girls?" So while she was asleep, I drew a dick on her forehead. I traced it. I had a couple friends of mine that I set up on a blind date once. One of them's a policeman, and one of them's a dentist. And when I asked them how the date went, they told me they spent the entire night searching each other's cavities. I was actually at the bookstore very recently looking for something to read, and I found a very interesting catalog of cats dropping logs. If you'd like to look it up, it's called Kitty's Digest. I had a really weird ex-girlfriend. She used to insist on feeding me like a baby bird. She used to wait, she used to chew up her food, wait 10 hours, and then shit in my mouth. Actually, actually had a cat walk up to me the other day and drop a dead bird carcass at my feet and then walk away. And my first thought is, that's exactly what bad pussy does. I went to Jiffy Lube recently and I paid for an oil change, and instead I got jerked off with peanut butter. Wrong Jiff. This is always where I lock up. I was actually caught jerking it on a dairy farm. The cow was utterly disinterested, but the farmer let me milk it as long as I wanted. I like my women like I like my coffee. Anal. They call it Coca-Cola because they used to make it with cocaine. I think that if they made it with heroin, we'd be calling it Hero in a Can. That last one threw me off. I was in a restaurant the other night, and an Asian man walked in with a dog and sat down, and the dog started barking. So I turned around and I said, "Hey, could you please tell your dinner to shut up?" That joke always makes me really nervous. I had a dog that I named Marilyn Manson, and I removed 3 of its ribs so it would stop sucking my dick. Sometimes I like to go to the store and buy a loaf of bread, and I like to put that bread between my butt cheeks because I like to pinch a loaf into another loaf. You guys have seen the X-Men movie? There's a scene there where Wolverine is being attacked, and he turns around, pins a guy against the wall, 2 claws around his neck, and that third one protrudes out to his face. When I see that scene, I think, what if those claws were dicks? A Canadian that's pissed off and horny, is it any less terrifying? You know, there's a lot of talk in our culture these days about transitional surgeries, body modifications, and I think that's a very brave thing to do. You know, be who you want to be. Even braver than that, though, is the person, I think, that gets their nipples turned into dicks. But the bravest thing is the person who's willing to suck those nipples. Give that person a medal. I still don't know if that's supposed to be little tiny baby dicks or huge tassel dicks. I don't know. I was at a graveyard very recently and found a dead body, so I stopped digging. You guys know the television show Roots? It stars a character named Kunta Kinte. And as I was watching this show, I was thinking to myself, the reason why Kunta Kinte doesn't like mayonnaise on his sandwiches is because he doesn't like the tangy zip of Miracle Whip. This is my closer. I have another television show idea, and it's about someone who's flying an airplane. And right in the middle of the show, they decide to open the door and jump out. And they fall and hit the ground, and that's the end of the pilot.
I'm Eric. This is Dre.
Dre.
3C Productions.
This is Eric.
That's the channel. Sunday morning sessions.
That's the show.
Hey, we didn't find that. You just watched the episode of Jason Nice, Spicy Gravy himself, right here in the studio talking about his stuff. So thank you for watching about the stuff and the talking. You that thing. Do all like, share, and subscribe.
His name is Jason Nice, so I hope you had a gravy time.
No, Mexicans.
You just said Mexicans.
What
was that?
No,
Fam,
you
you just said Mexicans?
No, impeach Trump.